All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about the Litecoin halving and if it can go to $200 or maybe even $300 by the end of the year because of all the hype around that. So Litecoin halves in about August, and it's going to go from a reward of 25 Litecoin to 12.5 Litecoin, which is what Bitcoin is at right now at 12.5 reward, as Litecoin came about a little bit later than Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin halvings in May 2020. So we do have two halving hypes on the horizon. And so in the past few hours, Litecoin started to move upwards again from $102 to about 113. I think it's about 115 right now. We're actually in a little bit of a crypto slump, and prices are starting to go down a little bit. Yet Litecoin is resisting that quite a bit, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. So Litecoin has recovered almost all of its losses over the past week, whereas Big Brother Bitcoin is down almost 7% over the same period. Crypto trader going by the handle Crypto Fibonacci has been eyeing the Litecoin charts for some time, predicting it will continue to rise. He said last night that I like the price action. I still like it, expecting another retest of 124 to 122 or so around area fairly soon. So the support zones can be clearly seen with the moving averages, and the next resistance level is just over $120, as mentioned, with the current bullish momentum. Further upsides for Litecoin are likely regardless of what Bitcoin does next. So there's little doubt about the Litecoin halving, which is only 60 days away. It's driving momentum. After this date, the block reward halves from 25 to 12.5. This is the perceived effect of decreasing the supply while increasing the difficulty to mine new coins. Halving has been written into the code to control inflation and prolong network longevity. Current Litecoin inflation is 8.83%, whereas after the halving, it's going to drop to 4.26%. Halving events always have a bullish run-up, and the same is expected to occur for the Bitcoin halving in May 2020. And additionally, Litecoin hash rate is at an all-time high at the moment of 374 terahash, as is difficulty. This is a measure of computational horsepower on the network. So $200 by August. So far this year, Litecoin has outperformed the majority of its brethren, surging 275% from $30 in January. On January 1st. Litecoin has recovered all losses from the bear market and is back at the same price it was this time last year. Although not quite recovered from its all-time high, but again, 2017 was sort of a fluke. Let's just all be honest. 2017 was sort of a fluke. Even looking at the charts, honestly, that bull run was maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And you could kind of consider before that as well. But for the most part, that all-time high was really over in about 2 weeks. So if you didn't sell within those 2 weeks, that all-time high passed you by pretty quick. So there's a strong possibility that Litecoin could reach 200 by halving date on August 6th, considering it went parabolic in December 2017, pumping from over $100 to about $360 in less than 2 weeks on pure FOMO. A move from here to $200 does not appear that far-fetched. At this time of writing, Litecoin was traded about $113. So if we look at Litecoin now, it's at about $116. And even looking at the rest of the market, Litecoin is currently down just 0.83%, whereas all other coins are down typically much more than that. We're back down to 7,700 Bitcoin, and you can see everything is just sort of on its way down, except for just a few coins here and there. Really, except Litecoin. Litecoin went up a little bit and is kind of trading a little bit sideways now, going down slightly. But you can see the difference. Litecoin is one of the smallest losers of the day. Even finding it is actually kind of hard here. We have to go pretty far. And yeah, it's like the, maybe 5th or 6th loser of the day, which is not saying a lot, really. So the halving is in 57 days, 2 hours, 32 minutes. The reward date is, the reward drop rate is, date is about August 5th, 2019. So I would like to look at some of this older material here. This is an article from August 26, 2015 on the Litecoin halving. So going back in time a little bit here, the reward fell from 50 Litecoin to 25 per block, and that was again on August 26, 2015, marking the first time the alternative cryptocurrency launched in 2011 has seen such a reduction. So the 840,000th block was mined by F2 pool, also known as Discus Fish. So that's a really long time ago. And so August 26, 2015, we can actually take a look at that and see what happened. And I'll just throw that out there now. Nothing really actually happened for that first time yet. But crypto was sort of in a weird place back then in 2015. There was probably 70% less people into crypto at that time. 2017 brought a lot of people. And again, you can see that incredibly hyperbolic, parabolic chart here in that bull run. And it was really, honestly, just in a couple weeks that really happened. And it went all the way up to $350, $360 or so. So that was really fast. And so again, that's why I just say that, Litecoin was kind of all crypto in 2017 was sort of a fluke. It was just a bunch of FOMO, BitConnect, Genesis mining, and people just pouring money into all these different ICOs and money-making machines like BitConnect and even Genesis mining, which is now, makes nobody anything. And so you can see we're way higher than what we actually used to be for quite a long time. For quite a long time, Litecoin was at about $3 or so. And August 2015, there really was no movement. August 26, if we just pull back, there really wasn't any movement, about to $2 or so to $3. And we did go up over time. So you could see that halvening did have an effect to some degree. So we were at about $2 around the halvening, and slowly moving up to about $4 or some odd. But it was about that much before that, so it didn't really have an effect the first time around. However, now there's a lot more news, there's a lot more Reddits, there's a lot more forums, there's just a lot more FOMO and hype and ways to disseminate the information about crypto, whereas 2015, only being a few, 4 years ago, was still sort of the dark age of crypto in a lot of ways. So this hype may bring Litecoin over $200. Now, by August, I don't think by August, I think by closer towards the end of the year. In the same way with Bitcoin halving in May 2020. Now, as we approach that halving, we have seen more and more articles on that, more and more forum posts, Reddit posts, and these are all good things for the psychology of the entire community as a whole. When there's a lot of good news, people are buying. When there's a lot of bad news, of course, people are selling. It really influences people all across the globe, depending on the news cycle. And as we get closer to that Bitcoin halving, we are going to see more and more and more positive news about that, and that's going to have more and more people buying in. Another thing that the halvening is going to do, if you have an ASIC, a script miner, an ASIC for Litecoin, you might only be making a few dollars a day on it because the hash rate's so high, and honestly the hash rate of the actual miners are pretty low. You might have some old miners, but you might only be making a few bucks a day. Now, when that halves, you're actually essentially going to receive half of your profits, depending on the price of Litecoin at the time. And when it halves, you're going to get half the rewards, and your profit's going to go down. And that's going to make a lot of people want to sell their Litecoin for a higher price, because, of course, nobody wants to sell the Litecoin for a loss. So, of course, they're going to have to raise that. And the same thing with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin halves, all the ASICs in the world are going to be essentially making half the money, and, of course, or half the Bitcoin. And, of course, people are going to have to sell it for a little bit more. And it's just going to inherently raise the price. Now, historically, these halvenings don't really have an effect right away. However, historically, crypto, of course, is very young. And the last halvening of Bitcoin was 2016, and before that was 2012. So, 2012, barely anybody was into crypto. Even in 2016, that was just starting to get to that hype of crypto. And I'd say 2017 is where it really kicked off. So these halvenings weren't noticed by a lot of people, to be totally honest, especially in 2012 and a little bit so in 2016. But now that a lot more people, the whole globe is sort of into crypto, and more people are getting into it every day. But surprisingly, not that many people are into crypto still. I mean, you can just go outside, you can go to your neighbor's house and be like, hey, you got Bitcoin? They're like, I don't know what that is. So we have a long way to go. But again, the psychology of the markets coming up to that are going to raise the price. They're going to FOMO people in. There's going to be more and more articles on the Litecoin halvening as we get closer. There's going to be a lot more on Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is just overall more popular. And of course, the halvening for Bitcoin is just the big deal. But with Litecoin, we may say maybe even $300 Litecoin by the end of the year. So lots of hype around Litecoin, and still just holding strong. Essentially, now we're down about 1.29%. But you could see just everything else is a little bit higher, and it is resisting that price. We went up to 115, 116 bucks or so, and it's still just holding pretty strong. So that says a lot of good things about Litecoin at the moment. And moving on. To some more news, Bitcoin trade volume on Coinbase hit a 14-month high in May, and volume and crypto and the prices of it really coincide a lot. Now, not inherently, does it just necessarily mean that there's more volume? Of course, that volume could be very, very high, like in December 2017, but honestly, it was mostly sell volume, so it doesn't always appropriate to, equate to a rise in price. But it is a good thing, meaning more and more people are getting back into the game, and this chart really shows it too. Bitcoin trading volume on the U.S. largest crypto exchange, Coinbase, hit the highest amount seen in 14 months in May. During the month of May, Coinbase facilitated the trade of 738,000 Bitcoin, worth approximately $5.9 billion at current market prices. The development marks the exchange's highest level of Bitcoin trade volume since March of 2018. Additionally, it represents the sixth most voluminous month for Bitcoin trading. That's an intense one. On the exchange to date, perhaps not surprisingly, the risk of volume was accompanied by a 60% increase in price for the crypto itself. So you can see in December 2017 was definitely the highest, and that totally makes sense. So that was a ton of sell volume because everybody was just burning off their Bitcoin when it was at 20,000, and people were still FOMOing it at that time. Remember, if you think you lost a little bit in December 2017, don't worry about it because there was somebody who bought it at that final last dollar. If Bitcoin went to 20,000 exactly, somebody had to buy it at 19,999. to push it over that edge. And it didn't quite reach 20,000 on every. It was a little bit less. It's somewhere in 19,900 and some odd. But, at least you weren't that guy, I suppose, right? So that was the highest volume, and, the second highest was clearly in February of 18. But you can see that we've just had a slow rise ever since. Now, in November of 2018, you can see that those two are pretty high, and that's when the prices were really, really low. So I think a lot of people were buying at that time. They were waiting for the absolute lowest period, and were buying around that time. And you could see that on the charts as well, that there was very, very low price of Bitcoin at the time. I think that's about when we were at 3,300 or 3,400 Bitcoin, when it was really, really low, when the market cap of cryptocurrency was nearly under $100 billion. And now we're starting to go way back up again. So the most Bitcoin ever traded in a month on Coinbase was December 2017, when it reached a high of 19,891, was 1,275,000 Bitcoin traded hands on that exchange. Now, with the price of Bitcoin trading roughly 60% lower than its all-time high at the time of writing, the total units traded in May coincidentally make up nearly 60% of the amount seen during the explosive trading month of December 2017. So kind of interesting. So moving on to CoinMarketCap once again here. We're at $245 billion market cap. It was just yesterday when it was 10 or 20 billion higher. So welcome to crypto. Bitcoin dominance at 56%. And still holding pretty strong. But again, kind of a bloody day for crypto. Everything in the red, except for some random pumps. GX chain, sure, why not? Totally. But other than that, that's about all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to talk about Litecoin real quick because there is a lot of hype around it, and if you haven't got into Litecoin yet, it might be about that time, because there's honestly not much better time than just before a halving like this, and with all the hype that's going to come out. I couldn't really think of too much of a better time. Now, of course, you may want to wait for a very specific price, maybe for it to go down a couple bucks, because we are on our way down at the moment, and you always want to make sure that you get, as low as possible. But now, again, it's pretty much very difficult to sell at the top and buy at the exact bottom. It's better, honestly, to wait for a trend of going down or a trend of going back up. You miss a few bucks at a time when you do that, but you kind of get in at a slightly more certain time, because if you sell at the all-time high, that's just a guess, or if you sell at the high, that's just honestly just a guess at that point. You know, of course, you can have some charts and things like that to try to confirm that, but a lot of the times you end up selling it, it'll just go right back up because crypto, why not? But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, that helps me out a lot. Share the video, helps me out even more. That's the best thing you can do for a YouTuber, is just share the content. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.